that's what I want to get into next year is, what experiences, you have. I didn't ask that at the beginning, and I wanted to. So yeah, let's jump into that. So you've seen orbs.
Oh yeah, but just backtracking a little bit, in terms of, is this government? No, it's not. Maybe 10, 20, 30%. I've learned early on, some of the stuff flying around is definitely ours, especially
Definitely. Sure,
but when
100%.
these craft come down and land, and you've got little guys coming out, and people are being pulled on board and examined, healed, and no, this is ET, hands down, no doubt. And when I first got in this field, I'm like, gosh, you saw a UFO? Tell me about it. I knew all these people who were having experiences. I was jealous. I was mad. I was envious. I was upset. I need to see this. It's one thing to read about it. It's awesome. Even better to talk to a first-hand witness, especially someone you love and trust. No.
Sure.
I'm like, wow, you're getting, so I started circling around, trying to get closer and closer. I'd be talking to people. They're like, oh yeah, I was over my house last night. I'm like, I'm coming over. Can I sleep in your backyard? I did this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes sightings will often actually occur over a period of 2 or 3 days, or what have you. One sighting is often not an isolated event.
Oh, interesting.
So I was trying so hard to see one. And I was seeing anomalous lights. I'd be driving, once I was, during this wave of sightings in Topanga Canyon, I'm driving through the canyon, which is an isolated area. And I saw this brilliant light in the sky. Now I've seen this before, and it's often a plane coming right at you, a jet. And you can't see the landing lights because the landing light is so brilliant. And then it turns, and of course you see that it's a plane. So I'm watching this thing, and it just blinked out, gone. And it was there for 10, 20, 30 seconds. I should have stopped my car. I did not, because I was thinking it was a plane. And that sort of thing happened a number of times.
Oh, wow.
But it's ambiguous. I'm like, that's nice. Thank you. Not good enough.
Yeah.
But for me, the real big break in terms of my own experiences occurred in 1992, which turned out to be a huge year for me. I had like 4 or 5 sightings. And it began on July 5th, Sunday. I'm at my brother Mark's house, his wife Christy. They've both had experiences. Stayed up late. So I'm okay, I got to work tomorrow. I'm leaving. This is in Woodland Hills. I lived in Canoga Park at the time. We're neighboring cities right outside of LA. So I leave their house, and I'm 3 minutes down the road, tiny little street called Golondrina. Coming around a hairpin corner, when I saw what I first thought was a bird swooping towards my car, discarded that immediately because it's glowing and it's round. I'm thinking, okay, fireworks. It's July 5th, right? But this darn thing came swooping down from like 300 feet to my upper right in a parabola and stopped in front of my windshield. I'm thinking, okay, is that a reflection? No, obviously not, because I can see this thing, and it's right over the hood of my car. I mean, it's that close, and it's looking at me, and it's an orb about the size of a tennis ball, slightly smaller, yellow, white, soft yellow, white, hard-edged, and kind of just bobbing there. And then this darn thing goes back and forth in front of my windshield 2 or 3 times, stops again right in front of me. I'm holding on to my steering wheel for, like, oh my God, the car has stopped. I was going around this corner at maybe 3 miles an hour. It's a hairpin corner that's real steep. So I'm stopped in the middle of the road, and it's almost midnight, right? And this thing scoots forward, dips down, almost scrapes the asphalt, the road, goes straight up. Last thing I remember is peering up through the canopy of trees and watching it go straight up. And I kind of don't remember it after that. In fact, I forgot it. Forgot the whole darn thing. It was wiped from my mind. And kind of 3, 4, I don't know, later that year, I remembered, I'm like, wait a second, that happened, and I'm sticking to it because I was there. I saw this happen. And I've talked to enough people at that point who said, oh, a UFO landed in front of us on the road and we all forgot about it. And we had missing time, and I don't remember driving home. I don't remember going to bed that night. I don't remember waking up next morning thinking about this. So I pretty much come to the conclusion I had missing time.
Wow.
Because did start dreaming about being on board at that point. And
Sure.
and yeah, that later, a few months later, we went on a family vacation. I had another sighting with, ironically, Mark and Christy again, my brother and sister-in-law, at Crater Lake National Park, where this light appeared over our campsite, and we had a flashlight, and we blinked it, and it blinked back. We blinked it twice, and it blinked back twice. So this wasn't a satellite. This wasn't a balloon or anything. It was communicating with us. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. And it was.
And you all three saw this, both events. Oh, wow.
Whole family was there. There must have been 10 or 12 of us, and they were all asleep. We stayed up late, hoping maybe we'll something, and we did.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I ended up.
What'd you think when it was communicating back?
Oh, are you kidding? I was jumping up and down like, oh, look at that. Wow. It knows we're here. This is crazy. No one's going to believe this. It was kind of like a star-like light, but 3-4 times the size of a star. And you had the impression it's pretty low. I mean, well above the treetops, but maybe 1,000 feet. Hard to say. It was a different kind of light too. Hard to describe that, but just not, the light looked different, more coherent or solid, kind of, I guess.
Well, I was just thinking, what if there was another guy like just down the road who was also flashing, and the UFO is actually flashing at them, and you guys thought, oh, he's flashing at us, but the UFO is looking down, doesn't see y'all's. That was funny. I wonder, like, from the UFO's perspective, how did they see a flashlight flashing? Like, can they see that, you think? I don't know. I just find that interesting. Like,
yeah, I think it's almost a little ridiculous when you think about it, like using a flashlight to call down a craft. But
yeah,
I think ultimately what it comes down to is it's more of a consciousness telepathic thing. We were out there looking for it. We were calling out to them.
I see.
And if you look into the whole CE5 type of encounter, human initiated.
Sure.
There's quite a
part
lot
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think
intention, right? Is that, or maybe I'm using that word incorrectly here, but I think I've heard it put that way.
I ended up joining CSETI shortly after that, which was headed by Stephen Greer. Controversial as he is, he, I think, is a legit contactee. I've been in his presence when UFOs showed up. We had sightings. We sure enough did.
Like out in a field where he goes and that sort of thing? Yeah.
Yep.
How does that process work? Like, are people standing up? They sit down? Is it like...
Yeah, well,
does it take a long time, or?
Yeah, well, it can. I did it for about 5 years with the LA group. I was a core member because I'm all gung-ho with this. But we had about 10 people who were really into this, and other people who were not so much. But we went out there the first night. Someone's like, what's that? I mean, we had literally walked up to this field and hadn't sat down, hadn't flashed our lights, hadn't meditated.
Yeah.
There was 30 of us at least. And someone shouts, what's that? We all look up, and there's this huge light. And now it is way up there. I'm going to guess 20,000 feet. I don't know. But it was big as a half moon, apparent size of a half moon.
Yeah.
And, right at the zenith, very oddly shaped blob of light, moved a few degrees across the sky and winked out. But I know enough about astronomy to say it wasn't a satellite or a comet or a shooting star or any of the conventional explanations. And that was the first night we went out. Second night, we had weird strobes of light coming down on our group. So I was hooked. And we would go out once every couple of months. And we'd wait there all through the night, and nothing would happen, more often than not. But every now and then, lights would show up, usually anomalous lights. One time, one showed up, and we're communicating back and forth with our flashlights. It was crazy. But the problem was, it was on top of this mountain a few miles away. I'm thinking, well, this is someone with a flashlight.
Yeah.
Because I'm ironically, finding out all this was real, coming from a skeptical angle, I became even more skeptical. I'd been lied to. I'm like, everyone's lying to me. I can't trust anybody. Nothing I thought was true is true. So I was very skeptical. But these were real bright lights. And finally, I'm thinking this could be a person. and this darn light turned blood red, and it must have. I mean, it was huge. There's no way a person could do that, even with a little. You'd have to have a searchlight with
Sure.
red
Big.
gel.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
this was,
wow.
I know this area. This was Rocky Peak in Chatsworth, Simi Valley area. It's very isolated. There's a fire break that leads up to it, but it's basically brush walking up to the top of this peak. There's no trail. So that was interesting to say the least. And one of our best sightings with that little group.